All right, we are streaming. So, good evening and a very warm welcome. And thank you for joining us today as we delve into a very important topic. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sukirti Gupta. I'm one of the co founders of Sipping Thoughts. Sipping Thoughts is a multi platform media company that was set up by me and by Meeta Gudgutia. We set it up keeping in mind the tagline, Real Women, Real Thoughts. We wanted to create a no judgment platform and create a network of women for women, and of course, the men that have supported us. And now I think we should say we want to create a gender neutral community. So, right now, Sipping Thoughts reaches about 2.5 million women on a monthly basis. We're available on WhatsApp, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We're, somebody is getting some background noise. If they wouldn't mind muting, we're getting some background noise, guys.
Yes, I can hear that. I'll mute myself too.
Sorry about that, and we will continue. So it took struggle of thousands and thousands to strike down this archaic law. But in 2018, India really witnessed a true day of pride when Chief Justice Deepak Mishra's iconic words from his landmark verdict laid the foundation stone for an inclusive society. But what we all feel is we have just scratched the surface and there are miles to go before all of us can rest. And as we all know, the judgment we are talking about is Section 377. But a law, a government ruling, can't force the society into acceptance. So today, what we're trying to do is push the conversation beyond the basic LGBTQ community identity issue and start to focus on what are the critical issues for the times ahead. And I'm so excited to have with us today Shane Soni, who was crowned Miss Trans Queen India 2021. So congratulations, Shani.
Thank you, Sukirti. It's always a pleasure to be on Sipping Thoughts, and looking forward for a great session.
So Miss Trans Queen India is the country's beauty pageant for transgender women. She will represent India at next year's Miss International Queen, the world's largest competition for transgender women. Shani has been doing costumes and styling for a lot of celebrities, including Ranbir Kapoor, Jimmy Shergill, Priyanka Chopra, Dia Mirza, Honey Singh, Dino Moria, and so many more. She's been associated with a host of beauty pageants. So first of all, Shani, welcome to Sipping Thoughts.
Thank you so much, Sukirti. Thanks a lot.
And we've got with us Akash Agarwal, again, a well known name. And I think he is so well known because of his jewelry and also because he's such a vocal activist in terms of the LGBTQIA rights. He has actually started to talk about the power through his rendering stories, which he calls life stories, which has helped the society identify and confront its biases towards the community. He represents the LGBTQIA community through his guest appearances in various TV debates, national public events, and you can see him. He's so active on his Instagram and all his Facebook. So, welcome, Akash, to Sipping Thoughts. We're very excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks to you and to the platform for doing this. We are back within 2 months. So thank
Exactly.
you for giving Queer Space this much of
Yeah.
push. Thank you. Thank you for boosting us.
And today, joining me in the conversation is Jyotika Dhawan, who is the founder of Orient Square, which focuses on diversity and inclusion. So I'm excited to have Jyotika with me. And Jyotika, let's get started. So I think the first thing I will shoot out both to Shani and to Akash. For people that don't know you, what's your elevator speech? Tell me in a minute, who are you? And I don't want your bio.
Okay. Yeah. Sukirti, thank you, first of all. And, as far as my journey has been concerned, it is everything but extra, it has been everything but ordinary. So all I can say is that, it has been a lifetime experience of living two lives at the same time. And, and starting, being born as a male and transforming myself into into the person that I always wanted to be. So so it has taught me a lot of lessons. It has given me a lot of experience of life. It has changed my perception about a lot of things, and this is exactly what I want to do. By sharing my life experience, what I went through, what was the whole transformation all about, and also to create awareness about the wrong notions people carry about transgender women. So, and if I could influence even one life, I could change, I could comfort one life with my experience. I think that I'm met with my purpose. So this is what a little about me.
Akash, about you?
Yeah, so about me, as my name is Akash, you will find everything under the sky. एक इंद्रधनुष है जो मेरी पहचान है, एक उड़ती आजाद चिड़िया है जो मैं हूँ, एक घना बादल है जो इमोशंस की तरह बरस जाता है. I am Akash. I'm everything which us under the sky can be. And that's why people get confused. Ki, what do you do? You're a designer, or you're an activist, or you have opinion about everything. So yes, I do have opinion about many things because this is Akash for you.
All right, Jyotika, let's get started. Jyotika, I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you, Sukriti, for the platform, and lovely to meet you both. I look forward to this session, and I'm extremely excited to get to know you more, and hoping that the viewers have an insightful session as well, which I'm sure they will. So let me just, obviously it's a cliche that, but having said that, we all know that inequality is depriving a huge section of people from an equal opportunity to perform, to grow. In my view, as a DNI catalyst, diversity and inclusion change catalyst, I think it's very imperative during the formative years of school education. We keep talking about workplace policies, etc. But success of diversity in the society or in workplace is, incumbent on the quality of inclusive education. So tell me, in your views, when you were growing up or right now, what are the critical issues that are facing the LGBTQI community? Akash, or yeah, whoever wants to go first.
So I think for all the questions, Shani, you take it first. I'll take after you. Let's
No,
get it.
I would suggest, Akash, you to address this first.
Okay.
Why? Because you've worked really hard and you've been quite vocal about it. So I think
Sure.
you can frame it in a much
Yeah, perfect.
articulate and a much
Jyotika, can you
elaborate way.
just ask me in a gist of it? What is that you were?
So I think growing up, especially school education, where did
Yeah.
you think that there is it is lacking? And right now, of course, as a result, then what is it that are critical issues because of the same, because of the lack of inclusion during the, growing up years?
See, my growing up years is almost like a Doordarshan times. No, वो समय चला गया है जब हम grow up कर रहे थे. तो there were no Zoom calls, there were no Instagram influencers, there were no reference image to somebody of your community or who you are. So for at our times while we were growing up, all we knew or all I knew was that गली में हिजड़ा या किन्नर जो आपकी खुशी में आते थे घर पे, that was the only reference point which I had, and I'm not saying for myself, but for my kinds, which I thought I'm one of them. So today I might say I am a part of the bigger umbrella and not them, but for very long, the whole queer community and individuals were typecasted like one. So I remember Bachpan mein that was the only reference point because they used to come and they used to notice me. And they used to notice me, and I used to छुप जाना है घर के अंदर कहीं पे भी, and दिवाली पे आएंगे, होली पे आएंगे. I live in a joint family, so चाचा के लड़का हुआ है, बुआ के कुछ हुआ है, शादी है. So I was able to see that they will recognize who I am. I never knew I'm like them, but I really had thought that my reference point of identity is them. That was the only identity reference I had for a very long time. I think in class 12th or somewhere while I started exploring my sexuality, I had no interest with girls. Thinking to have an interest with a boy was also not on my chart. So my reference point has been mixed and blurred. The only reference point I personally take myself as being the identity of Ardhanarishwar, the Shiva and Shakti. You know, when I read about the Ardhanarishwar concept, that really touched me a lot as my reference point. So that has been my little self identity, is how I would say.
Okay.
I have a
If
question.
I, if, yeah,
Yeah,
if
about what is the critical issue that you think? And go ahead, Srini, sorry. What are the critical issues that you think are facing the community even now?
I
I
think the critical issue can be the fact that people, हम लोगों के पास कोई, as I said, there was no reference point, and till today, people are not ready to, as we discussed last time, Sukriti, that we are so happy to have gay friends, but we're not happy to have gay sons,
three sons.
okay, or gay family members. So reference point कहाँ आएगा? अभी भी वो reference point घर के बाहर ही है, घर में नहीं है.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shani. You
Yeah.
wanted to
So,
add.
okay. My point here was when I was growing up. So I grew up in a very confined zone where I was extremely, I was extremely reserved about what I was feeling, what I was going through, and I had no idea. Like for how Akash just mentioned that the only reference point was you would see hijras and eunuchs coming to your house, and similarly I would hide away. And for me that came later. But then for me it was also about, I didn't know who am I. Like I always looked up to my mom, and I knew, I didn't know there's a gender called a male or a female. So for me it was more like, okay, I am what I am feeling from within me. And this is what I took my mom as my reference point, where I was looking at her and I wanted to be like her. But again, the constant hammering from my people around me, my relatives, my friends' parents, my own parents, they kept hammering me, no, you were not supposed to behave like this, you are going wrong. And then with their thoughts and everybody saying me around the same thing, I thought there's a problem within me. And that is the next level to it was when I was introduced. I saw a community which is coming and dancing and singing, and then I also had a very terrible point of view on about them, because it was very scary. It was created within the family that, okay, these are people which are not to be connected to. These are the people which are not to be, you cannot feel comfortable in their presence. So this was all created for me. It was not something that I assumed. So, and I would see probably any eunuch or anything, I would hide away, I would just run away. And always my cousins, especially my cousins, gave me a very major trouble time, where they said, okay, no, you belong to them, they'll take you away, they'll you go away with them, these kind of things I heard at an early age. And I didn't know, and I was so scared to look at them, that because that was the image, as Akash said, that it was created in the house. So you're now, the difference is that you're okay with anybody who's queer outside your house, but the moment it is inside your house, that's the worry. That's worrisome. Like, that's something which is not. No, my son cannot be gay. My son or my child cannot be a trans child. That is the problem. And as we say, the institution, which is family, that is the base of what you are and what you become eventually. So what you learn at home is what you carry forward. And I think if you are learning that at home, of not accepting your own child, so that is what is going to carry forward. And how can you expect society to accept you then?
Very well
Thank you,
said.
Shani. Thank you, Akash. I think, yeah, we all know that cisgender is, most majority of the people in India are associating with looking at that as natural, and we know how unnatural, how unthoughtful and insensitive this whole area is. Over to you, Sukriti. Yes.
So, one question, especially as we talked about this title and we said, okay, the queer change makers. So, what is it that you're trying to do, and what do you feel are your roles and responsibilities? And why do you think change makers are needed, even today?
Oh, okay. Should I take this first?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So Kirti, I think to a level, I was not very comfortable talking about myself with the experience that I've had in my life during my career and during my education. So I was not very comfortable opening up as a transgender woman that I am. But I always look for comfort where I could just seep in, and I could create a comfort just like a cisgender woman, and live like that. But then, until friends like Akash and Reena and Varun, who constantly gave me encouragement that, it's high time that you need to talk about yourself. So I think that in itself was a big initiative that I did, where I started talking about myself and started, sharing my experience. And with that, I also realized that, here in this whole process, whatever study I could do and whatever research I could do, that what has been done, for the community and who has done it for the community, I realized that people have problems to share. People have more problems to talk, but nobody's talking about solutions. So I think it was high time that we start looking for solution. We all know the problems. We all know that it's what we are going through, but who's talking about solutions? So there, with Reena, who's the founder of Miss Trans Queen India, I realized that, she's been conducting these workshops where, Akash has also been a part of it, where they're going to schools and they are, they're creating, these gender sensitization workshops. So I thought, that way, at least it is an initiative and it is a solution. But that would not help. That would not help. That would still be very, it'll be a long way to go. Then what can we do about, creating an awareness that starts from, the very basic root? So I thought that, what if we actually introduce gender education to be part of school curriculums? That can really comfort people, because, as a child, I know what I went through, and I know what kind of humiliation, what kind of harassment I went through, what kind of bullying I went through. And that is exactly when a child is growing and that tender age, if that child is bullied, if that child, and you cannot even question the child who's bullying, because that child also is unaware. So the moment you make things aware, the moment you make things, and as we grown up in Indian family system, where we can talk about anything but gender and sex. We cannot talk in open about it to our parents. Still, the moment I remember, any kissing scene would come and we would hide our faces, and my parents would probably change the channel. Our condom ad, you could not see the condom ad,
हम
sitting
तो
with your
हमारे
family.
दो नहीं देख सकते थे. The contraceptive ads were like remote ढूंढ लिया करते थे लोग.
हाँ, मतलब remote कहाँ है, dude, हटाओ इसको, like that kind of things that we have seen. So आप बताओ उस परिवार में, उस society में एक we have to have conversations. So the conversation, to build up that conversation, to start that conversation, we need the gender education to come as, we have to, वो एक कहते हैं ना, थोड़ा सा पर्दा हटाना है वहां से, and we have to start talking about it. We have to make it a part of education system where, it should come across as something which is a part of our lives. So,
So,
and
question I have for you, Shani, because I
yeah,
also find, because most of the forms still say man, woman, even your school
yeah,
education form. So from a very early age, you're already being buttonholed into a gender. And it's very hard to think of something as Mr., Miss. People do. I was even asking Akash the same question. We don't know how to even address,
yeah.
so
See,
I think
again,
more of education,
we've
I would
put
say not only for the school, but for
yeah,
all levels of society.
everything, again, the world, it is, at one, this is very strange that at one place we claim to have reached Mars and moon, and at the same time we're confining the world in two letters, Miss and Mr, and probably Mrs. So imagine, that is exactly we as a race, we as humans, we are confining our own selves. We are creating a bracket where we want to live the whole, and we want everybody also to live. Anybody who wants to jump out of that bracket is abnormal. I'm sorry, that
Which is
is,
why, honestly, I was saying in the beginning that the role of media, school, books, and films is critical, because you're creating a subconscious marginalization or a stereotype. An
yeah,
inclusive language, like Sukriti and Sheni, you both are saying, is so missing, because you're not able to use an inclusive language that is respecting
yeah.
diversity. Yeah, please go on.
Exactly, Jyotika. It is again coming back to the problem. The media, the movie, the other things comes later. According to me, what my study told me about, when I was, when I took it as a responsibility with that crown, I thought that why don't we go to the root level and start from the education system? When the system will change, where we that is the root of everything that we are today. So if that child who's bullying the child, who's probably a trans child or a gay child, that child himself doesn't know that what that means and who that person is, because he or she is constantly been told that, okay, there's only two genders, which is male and female. Anybody apart from it is not to be respected, is not to be acknowledged. So that is wrong.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Akash, did you want to add something to that?
I was just men are from Mars, women from Venus, and the leftovers are LGBTQ people gonna take. All the other planets, trust me. So we're gonna be everywhere other than Mars and Venus. So don't worry. I would just add a little. But the whole idea of gender sensitization at schools I've been doing since 3 years now. My basic focus has never been telling a child that who is a queer and who's not a queer. My How I started pushing the agenda, I should say, or the motive of sensitizing kids was from a space of telling them that each and every child is an individual, and
Yeah.
each and every story is precious to be heard and to be told. I have really made whatever we could at Deepa Narishwar Empowerment Foundation to talk to the principals and teachers about telling them that let them mix up. Don't stop creating those lines of girls and boys if you really want your child to be unique. Morning 8 baje ही आप diversifications कर देते हो, right? All the pinks and the blues. Schools are trying to change, but then also, Sukriti, to whatever workshops we go, टीचर्स गायब होती हैं और वर्कशॉप्स बच्चों के साथ चल रही होती है. एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर आई डोंट टेक दोस वर्कशॉप्स वेयर आई डोंट सी द स्टाफ अराउंड. I'm a very rigid person in these terms, which what and how I want, because हम तो 1 घंटा बोल के चले जाएंगे, but it is the responsibility of the teacher, of the staff, to take it further. We have to sensitize them because they are with more biases, they are with more stereotypical upbringing. So we need administration, schooling staff to be equally raised with sensitivity. Also, we have just got national education policy in place, NEP, and very disappointing to see there's no space of gender much there as well. And आप टीचर ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर भी आप जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन को कहीं हाईलाइट नहीं कर रहे हो. So there are layers where we can really bring in change.
And these are, Akash very well mentioned. I think these are the layers that needs to be, because these are the foundation. I think these are the root cause for anything and everything that we move ahead with in our lives. So
Yeah,
if
and
we
one of the person really wrote down there that why not parents doing this? But trust me, for parents to bring in these communications is not easy. Let's be practical. Okay, mothers are really suffocating and not able to express good touch, bad touch to their daughters and boys at home,
yeah,
because there's a father-in-law who can get offended, or there's a brother-in-law who can get offended with you being told to your daughter of what is good touch and who should not touch you and who should touch you. Right? Let's be practical how our society works.
yeah.
At school, there is a freedom to exercise. We go to school to feel free from those. घर में जब 2 महीने की छुट्टी होती है तो we like चलो दोस्तों से मिलेंगे and we'll do what we want to do. So school as an institution can really bring in change only if authorities at places wanted to.
So, as change makers, you're looking more as your role, not only at the base level, but also at the policy level of kind
Yeah.
of making the impact there. Thank you for clarifying that. Over to you, Jyotika.
Yes, lovely. Thank you. It was lovely to. I totally echo my thoughts. Both, it was lovely listening to both of you. So, from my experience, as promoting diversity both in the youth as well as for the workplace, I strongly feel that and I tell this to most of the clients that I work with, that diversity is not about hiring somebody who's differently abled or somebody with a different sexual preference or gender. It's about appreciating the power and importance of diversity. But workplace pushing for diversity is one thing, but how do you fill the gap between the skill sets required for these organizations, which, as you know, is lacking in the LGBTQI community? How do you create financial inclusion because the corporates, what they're looking for currently is not the skill set that the community has, because obviously because of lack of education and skill set. So your views on that?
If Shini you want to do, or I take it.
No, please go ahead.
Jyotika, with all respect, what is it that the corporate thinks we can't do, and why?
So no,
So,
what I'm
no,
saying
no,
in
let
terms
me
of,
complete.
yeah,
Let me
sure,
complete. I got your
sure,
question.
sure,
I'm little like this
sure,
to
sure,
start with the sarcasm. I
sure.
mean to say, why does the corporate? I've been doing corporate trainings and I've seen what it is and how they are facing. Why do the corporate think that there'll be people only coming who are 10वीं fail or 12वीं fail or who have left home early? There's so many closeted individuals who work in corporate structures.
Corporate. Yeah.
So let's talk that side. Let's not stereotype that you need to empower only a transgender from the road to get him a job of 10,000 rupiah mahina, so he doesn't or she doesn't have a skill set. That's a very different thing altogether. The
Yeah.
corporate has to understand that all they need to is to bring in an atmosphere, and then you never know kahan se kaun sa phool khil jaye, kahan kaun si kali chupi बैठी हो. You have to put your policies in place. People will come and take it from you.
Yeah.
Is the corporates ready to put policies in place? That matters there.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with your thought, Akash. I think very well put up, because you know you cannot expect to train people on skills to place them in corporate to get them a respected life. But what about the
Yeah.
people who are actually working there, not just corporate, but different profession? I've seen closeted doctors. They work in hospitals
Closeted
and
police officers.
police officers,
Closeted
doctors,
people in the armed forces, the biggest
armed
one.
forces. Yes. And the worst part is that that they go through as the environment where they cannot really express themselves. So it's very important to comfort first them and then bring people. That is a secondary thought, where you want to have skill based trainings for people who
Yeah,
are
like
you know
corporates should stop thinking it as a CSR initiative and start taking it as.
no. I think the biggest CSR would be first understanding what skills they have in the organization.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, we are sitting here in 2021, right? I mean, we think that the world has evolved. But I was just doing some research and I was looking through some of the articles. Hate crimes, secret honor killings, sexual abuse, systematic rape, forced marriages. I mean, these are the consequences today. We're not talking about something that used to happen 40 years ago, 30 years ago, or 10 years ago. These are things that are happening now. The consequences of coming out are still very grave for a lot of people. So a lot of, or being in the closet. Are you seeing an improvement in these levels, or is this a metro versus non-metro thing? Because people keep telling me, nahi, nahi, metro mein to ye sab nahi hota, ye non-metros mein ho raha hoga. And this homophobia that we have is very deep rooted. I don't know if I asked my question correctly, but it was scary when I read some of the news reports because I did not feel this was 2021.
Yeah. Sukriti, I can really go directly and tell you about the queer community, but how about if we also talk about the kinds of law coming in the policy making program now?
Yes.
I'm very sorry, it might offend people, but I would like to talk about law like love jihad or increasing the age of a girl to 21. They are also a marginalized community and society. We are taking away a woman's right to whom to marry, when to marry, what age to marry, how to marry. So how will we accept queer community exercising their love? So people are unable to let a woman choose, and then queer people face huge homophobia, hate crimes, unreported rapes, multiple rapes from even in the police stations. So the kind of hate I'm very sure Shani must have also faced, or I
Yeah.
also face every day when you have to go to a police station. You have to know, अगर एक छोटा सा मोबाइल चोरी का भी report कराना हो, it's so intimidating because they will let you know who you
Yeah.
are. They will make sure that you feel your identity on your face.
Yes.
They'll question your identity
And
irrespectively.
so, Kirti, it has nothing to do with metro or a non-metro or a small town. Trust me, even in metro, we live in. I think we live in Delhi. I live in Delhi. The kind of things that I go through, the kind of
Yeah.
experiences that I get. It's very strange. Where people the moment they know who am I, they start looking down. For example, I'm talking about social media. If I'm talking to a boy on social media, he's absolutely okay with me. He loves my pictures. He keeps complimenting me. The moment I tell them, okay, I'm a trans woman, oh my God, you want to get late tonight? Aj mile, let's do some naughty chats. I said, excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you were a,
Yeah.
a different person just a moment back, and you've completely different. So these are small things which are happening everywhere. And as Akash said, that we are living in a space where women can't take decision about themselves. We are every day. I think we are getting the democracy is moving out of our hands in many ways. We cannot practice our own rights. Forget about queer or a man or a woman. It's about everybody as a citizen of this country.
Yeah.
So imagine, like, these cases. And I know a lot of cases. I know personally my friends what kind of harassment they have gone through, my queer friends, my gay friends. What kind of physical harassments, what kind of, I've heard some stories and very close people. And it is nerve wracking, where one of my friends cousin, who apparently spoke, who had guts to speak about himself being gay, was shoved a rod up, his
Yeah.
ass. And
Yeah.
what worst things that person had to go through. So it is not about.
I agree. And it's so tough because, like I said, we think we're in 2021, but it doesn't feel,
and
honestly.
that happened in and that happened in Delhi, in
Yeah.
Noida. So imagine, like, this, it has nothing to. And I think I've come across a lot of people from small town where they are more accepting because of the love, and for the person, for the family member they have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also may add, Sukriti, you must be like, "Arey, why are they going to the love jihad part, or why are they going there and stuff like that?"
Yeah.
But the idea I want to tell everybody in the audience is that there is something which is called intersectionality. In India, our identity is not just a queer person. We're also Indian, we're also Hindu, we're also gay, we're also upper caste, upper class, lower caste, lower class. So our intersectionality will reflect in what we are saying. So if anybody feels offended, we are sorry.
Jessica, over to you.
So yes, in fact, what Shani was, sharing right now, I have a very close friend, and I'm sure you all know her as well, Rudrani Chetri. So
Absolutely.
she's a close friend, and she, has shared such horrific stories, and which is where I got disconnected in between. I'm sorry, but which is where I was coming from, because she also shared with me that how much she was traumatized, and most of the people who she knows as in growing up years, and that is why there is lack of education, because a lot of people drop out because of the fear of being either sexually abused or bullied, or because, and hence now the skill sets have to be which of course I'm sure Akash addressed beautifully. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going to
very
come.
sorry.
Yeah.
Jitika, yeah, what we were
Yeah.
saying is this, that there are two things which corporates can do. One,
Yes.
in their CSR initiatives, they can do all this helping hands
Correct.
initiatives and stuff like that. But other than that, they have to have policy in place for letting closeted queer individuals
Correct.
come out. And
Correct.
both have to go hand in hand. The
Correct.
same corporate structure also has to move from equality to equity. From,
Absolutely lovely.
yeah, the same corporate structure also has to move from, what should I say, gender neutrality to gender diversity. What the
Lovely.
so we are actually choosing wrong options. Instead of choosing equity, we choose equality. Instead of talking about diversity, we talk about simplifying and creating uniformity. So there are a lot of issues which we can solve.
Lovely. Like I always say, diversity is, being called for a party, and inclusion is actually dancing in the party. And we are right now not even being inviting everyone at this point. Okay, so Akash, I read very recently in one of your interviews you had mentioned that in terms of not having a iconic figure in India,
Hmm.
there are not many corporate leaders or role models who come forward. So recently we did an inclusion summit, and we got a lot of international LGBTQI icons like Vivian Ming, who's the CEO and neuroscientist, US, and many others who took center stage. Do you think India has yet to see that iconic, figure, and that could also give masses a face to connect to? Do you think that that could bring in a
Yeah,
sensitivity? Because
absolutely.
I read you saying that, yeah.
Absolutely. We have a great program called Rise, if you know. It's a program for by the queer community and for the queer community, Rise, which happens, which is very much centering towards the corporate structure. So yeah, we don't have icons in any space. We don't have political queer icons. We don't have corporate queer icons. We don't have cinema queer icons. We
Right.
don't have pop artist who's even a queer icon in India. The most easiest space where we can be, yeah, we have gay designers who have for long been in icons but closeted
Hmm.
and being privileged and being silent of who they are. So yeah, we have
There have
that
been, but
space.
there have been obvious, if you actually are, there have been obvious queer presence everywhere, be it political aspect,
Absolutely.
be it in politics or cinema or corporate. But again, I think they're very scared to talk about it. They're not very
They're
open.
not
They're
owning
not.
up to it. Now, how
But
can an
we know their presence.
icon
But
cannot
we know
own
their
itself?
presence. They're not owning up because, of course, of the comfort that this Indian society that takes away from them.
Yeah, true.
My question comes back to that. So, how much work are the people within the community also doing? I know you guys are doing a lot, but to uplift each other, because, like what you said, the closeted, the people that are there are in very powerful positions. Are they also trying to move the needle?
It has like it's almost like how we are seeing the different cinema now कि अभी दोबारा से वो middle class families की stories हम देख रहे हैं और enjoy कर रहे हैं popcorns के साथ instead of Karan Johar's multi-crore movie. So a multi-crore movie is flopping because people want to see earthy people's story. And how are you watching a earthy story? Because people from earthy background and ethnicities are making those stories. So me and Shani might not come from a privileged space, and we are at a privileged space now, and I completely understand and I don't take for granted, but we are able to share our stories because we have nothing to lose. All those people who had something to lose were in fear to not to come out or to talk about it. It's what we are even seeing in today's presence, that like a Twitter page jo kuch hota rehta hai that initially that people from privilege want to safeguard their privileges and they will sing in the song. So it's almost like that.
So, I'm going to take a question from Amrita. Amrita, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. My question is that most people believe that homosexuality, bisexuality, and queerness is against Indian culture, while actually we find traces of the same being openly discussed in ancient Indian literature. So, how do we eradicate this mentality from people?
Shini, I always keep 1 minute silence before I say because I want you
No,
to
I
answer.
also do that because I think I want
Amrita,
you
great
to.
question. You've got both of them thinking who will go
No,
first.
no, no, I am ready. Actually, the fact is this: Amrita started with a thought that most Indians, actually not
Indians.
most Indians, ये सब बता दिया. Most Indian don't know. It's not that they believed it is wrong. The fact is that they don't know what is our
No.
scriptures are all about. They are, I have to say this, very sorry to say, but we are not very well read society. And whatever being told to us is told to us in schools or now on WhatsApp universities, and that's it. So we are not going to take out our own book or a Ramayana or a Gita and self study it and analyze it. So Krishna in Gita or Rama in Ramayana are appreciating and accepting transgenders as who they are. It's just that we for long are not reading for what we could have.
Shani,
Yeah,
what
and I think
like you
and I
had?
think people always live on the surface. They do not want to get into the depth of
Yeah.
knowledge. Half knowledge, as they say, is always dangerous. So, when you know about Rama, and you know about all the mythology that India has to offer, but they don't want to, go into the depth of, reading about the characters, different characters. Arjun lived like a woman
Yeah,
for more than a year. People know
Rangala.
about this. People know about this, but they do not know about, what was the whole, what was the whole agenda, and what was it all about, and why he had to live like that. And similarly, there have been so many characters, not just one. There have been so many characters like that, where they have not got that acknowledgement, because again, here the story ends at Ram and Sita,
Yeah,
and that's it. That is it. That is Hindu mythology, which
yeah.
is, which has so many more things to offer. We do not get to that level. We do not get to that depth of reading them and understanding different characters and acknowledging them, and bringing them in forefront, so that each character which has been given importance in that, mythological, scriptures,
True.
they need acknowledgement for people to acknowledge what has been happening for years. It has not arrived overnight. It has not popped in suddenly. So it has been there, but it's just that it has not got acknowledgement of its own.
The whole Gita got a 360-degree role changed when Shikhandi came in play.
Shikhandi.
Okay. So Shikhandi is nothing but an epitome of a trans man,
Man.
a woman who chose to be a man, who wanted to be a
Man.
man in the next janma. And so her behavior remains like a little woman who she was in the past, but this time she's a man. Now we don't want to talk about identities like that. We will not talk about things which doesn't suits us, and that is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Seema, we'll take your question next. And I know that Amrita, you wanted to do a follow up. We'll come back to you. Seema, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting listening to both of you. I have a few questions and I'm addressing them for both of you. How were your growing up years? Was going to school or college a traumatic experience? How did your classmates react to you? Did they realize that you were different from them? Either of you can take.
Okay, so I'll start. Okay, my growing up, was definitely, it was a very difficult, time. Especially because, as I mentioned earlier, that I was quite naive to know about genders, and I did not know about, who a man. I always thought that it's your choice to be a man or a woman. That was it. That was in my head. And I always took as I always had this very strong figure in front of me, which was my mother, and I looked up to her all the time. I was like, okay, I want to be like her. But again, in school, definitely I had a very, very difficult time, because I always wanted to grow my hair long, but as a boy, you have to cut your hair. You cannot. I wanted to wear, the frock that other girls were wearing, but then of course you cannot. You are supposed to wear pants because you're a boy. Again, peers, my classmates, they would not talk to me because they thought I'm indifferent. I am not playing cricket and I'm going to dance classes. That was a problem. I was completely inclined towards art. Why only girls do art, boys do sports? I was like, what is it like, and at that time, without any knowledge about things, I still was very, I always refused to accept what was thrown on me. And then I tried to strike a balance where I had to play basketball also and do art and do dance. So it was definitely. And again, I was my only comfort in my school was my best friend, who's still with me. So I saw him also, I was still very controlled in a lot of ways, because I was academically good. I was taking part in all the activities. I was teachers good pet student. But I had to work a lot for that. And I was strong headed. But my friend who was gay, who was not very good with his studies, who was not very active in sports, and he also wanted to do art. there were times he used to cry and he wanted to leave the school. And I've come across a lot of people who actually wanted to leave the school at, at that age. And that is how, I also have come across so many people who've not carried forward their education. They had privilege to get educated, but they did not carry it forward because of the bullying, constant bullying that one faced. And similarly with me also, I kept facing that bullying. And then when I eventually realized that, it is that bullying is not now only limited to me, it is going to my family. My parents are constantly being bullied at their workspace by their peers, by relatives. Okay, you have a problem with one of your child. So that is the decision. That is when I took a decision of moving out of my house and carry forward a life where I do not disturb my parents, of, owning up to who I feel from within. So, so this has been, of course, a part of life, this constant bullying and this constant, hammering of people saying that, okay, you are not fine. There's some major problem with you, or you are abnormal. So, this has been, my journey in my, school life and so on.
Yeah, I think mine and many of our kinds journey have been same, so I might not add much from where Shani has left. I only would say that my school time became difficult only when my teachers started being a bully to me.
Hmm.
That's it. For me, I was able to take how kids were behaving, or the children were behaving, or the seniors were behaving. But when teachers started playing into it, when they started keeping silent to the bully against me, or started being a part to it as well, my school principal started being a part to it as well, because she wanted to push that man out of me, or that boy out of me, and stuff like that. So that was traumatic.
And just to add one more point here, very strange thing, just after my crowning, and a few of my schoolmates, they tried to approach me, a while back, like, about 3-4 years back. Few of them, you always expect them to be more, cordial and more nice to you. Even what they've seen me as a boy or they've seen me as a girl, there's no difference as such. But now, to my surprise, my own school people, my school owners have called me. They want me to come and address, the students. They want to put up a huge, poster of mine in the school. So, it is always, and my schoolmates have been sending me messages on Facebook, on Instagram. They're trying to connect to me. So, again, I'll come back to the point where, I can't blame them of bullying me, because they were unaware.
Yeah, true.
Now that they're aware, they're much more accepting.
Are they much
They're
more
loving it.
no, no. So, Sherry, I'll ask a question here. Are they much more accepting because now you're very well known and you're very well respected?
Yeah, but then, I agree with you on that. But then also, but the kind of words, because I always believe in the way they write. If it is only about me
Fame. Yeah.
achieving something, or me getting popular, if
Yes.
that is the content, I know, that is just for that. But no, but the kind of sensitive things they've written, that, we always knew you were different, but I'm sorry, we were not aware of,
Good.
about the whole
Good to see
community that point of time. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and people have written, I'm sorry that, if ever I was rude to you, and I'm sorry I could not understand you as a friend, I could not give you that comfort. So that, it just gave me so much of, I was overwhelmed with this kind of
I
response.
know.
We'll
Love.
take the next question from Bavleen. Bavleen, go ahead. Bavleen, call. Bavleen, did you want to ask your question, or Sumit?
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, we can.
All right. So my question, good evening, everyone. So my question is that many private schools are having workshops for gender sensitization. There are various government schools who have no such exposure. So how can we change that? Also, what issues did you face when you had to open up about your sexuality to your parents, and how did they react?
Yeah, I think Shini, you should talk about your parents,
Yeah.
fam.
Okay. First, I'll talk about my parents. So I did not really had any kind of conversation regarding, who I was or who I am with my parents, because there was always this this scene, or this situation in my house where I know, and let's not talk about it kind of situation. And then, as I mentioned, that I moved out of my house at a very early age. And then, I realized over the time that, okay, there's always a little discomfort, because whenever I have to visit my parents, I have to probably change my looks, tie my hair, you know um, wear probably a boy's shirt, or t-shirt. And I was growing on my bus that point of time, and it was very difficult to hide that from my parents when I started my transformation. So what I did was that, okay, let me just bombard them with the news. And what I did was I invited them for one of my pageants, where they came, and I gave them the most beautiful seats, where the whole it was in Nehru Stadium. And they could have a look at the whole stage in a very in the most massive way. And then they saw me entering the stage in a very beautiful white gown with a trail, and in my complete avatar. And that is it. I didn't have to say anything. I gave it right on their face, because see, as parents, they always knew. As parents, they always knew what I am. I am a part of them. They knew it. It just that they needed that shock to accept me the way I am. And I knew. My one of my friend, who's also was gay, so he was so scared. He's like, oh my god, what if they get a heart attack? I said, no, I know my parents. They've seen enough. They will not get a heart attack. I know. They know who am I. It's just that it has to be shown to them on face. Like, see, face the fear. See your ghost right in front of you. A glamorous one, though.
Also,
Yeah.
you were celebrated that evening, Shani. Also, you were accepted by 100 other people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
both
Definitely.
of them would have helped them to soak in.
Yeah. And I always knew that my parents have this fear. They did not let me go ahead, or they did not approve of me, not vocally but indirectly, because my mother was always scared that this will become my transformation, or my accepting my identity will become a crisis for me to carry on a career, to achieve anything I want to do in my life. Because I'm sure my both my parents were working. They faced a lot of problems because of me. So my mom was sensitive enough to understand, if I, being a mother facing so much of problem, what that child must be going through. So that is the whole worry was all about, my mother. And I
We'll
think
take, I know we're running out of time. Sorry about that. We'll take some comments. I know Sumedh has been dying to.
yeah.
And then we'll take both of your closing thoughts. Sumedh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to say that I really enjoyed this session, and both of the participant, the thoughts are profound. It has to be the the actually the ideas I got from Akash are invaluable. And I want to make one more comment about somebody was asking in the comments that there are lots of schools who do not have the access to this sensitization program.
Yeah.
How to do it? How to do it? There is only one way to do it. The way is to make queer leaders at the district levels, and we are falling behind in this aspect. All the so-called NGOs who were entrusted with this responsibility are not doing it. When we will prepare those queer leaders at grassroots level or district level, then only it
The
will happen.
leaders are not manufactured in lab. They are just born leaders. So no NGO can product a leader. A Modi was not produced in a NGO. Rahul Gandhi is also not produced in a NGO. Leader is born or leader leads. It's an organic
Uh-huh.
process. So
and
let's not blame NGOs for it.
I think all the leadership quality comes from within. It's not to be taught. It's not to be. I think it's just to be claimed. You need to
Yeah,
just.
true.
Excellent. Thank you. I know we always run out of time. Jyotika, any last thoughts before I take their closing remarks? Jyotika?
Yeah, I think I've logged in from two places. But I think it was an excellent, insightful discussion. I would have actually thought that we are going to give an extension. I was hoping that Sukriti will say that we are going to, carry on
We will
for
bring
another
them
15,
back.
20 minutes and understand. But yes, I like I said that like you already said that it has taken decades and struggles to strike down the law, but then the law is just a foundation stone. We have a long way to go. In order to include have an inclusive society, we are like Sukriti and me and many others have been talking about a diversity collaborative, and hope that there will be a lot more work done by every one of us before we can rest. And it's wonderful the kind of work that you both are doing, the role models that you are, and I think that will influence the young generation, to open up, to come out more openly, and to make more important change in this journey. Yes, thank you. Over to you, Sukriti.
So, my last question, and I think this one you both say that you feel like second class citizens in your own country and that equal rights are far, far, far way to be achieved. So, where are we and what are the changes that you would like to see? And this is my last question as we end for tonight.
Okay. I think first of all, Sukirti, I always believed. I never thought, first of all, that I was ever a second class citizen. That was not in me. I know how to claim my position. I know how to claim my rights, and I know how to practice my rights and my decisions. And the changes, definitely the changes that I would want to see would be that uh, it should be more, more than accepting. It should be more, there should be more awareness. Acceptance will come only with awareness. So the more awareness we will have about, people should have education about what LGBTQ. There are a lot of people I come across who do not even know what is LGBTQIA community is. So that awareness, that will bring a change. And if you want me to give you a list of change, there are many, but I think it should start from awareness, where people should know the presence, and I think they should acknowledge the coexistence of different gender around them. So that I would want to see.
Akash?
Yeah, I completely understand from where the second class citizenship comes, because this happened with me while I was just telling a friend of mine who lives in Canada the 2 days back, and I said, "Oh, what is second class citizenship be like? You're living in, you're talking about world rights and equality," and he said, "Are you living any better?" And I was like, "Ouch, he's so right." Because we are actually fighting for equal rights. They might be fighting for H1B, whatever the visa and stuff. We might be fighting for certificates of शादी का certificate दे दो, loan का दे दो, partnership का दे दो, doctor का दे दो, health certificate पे हमें हमारा partner का नाम लिखने की इजाजत दे दो. So we both are actually fighting and resisting for equality equally. So yeah, why not? I completely believe I'm a very much an equal citizen when it comes to Akash, as long as he ticks the M.
Huh.
But if he's not taking the M, and if he's not wanting to stand in the line on an airport where the man is going to brisk him off, then you have to face consequences of being queer, and that's what we are facing. So that's there for sure.
Well, thank you, Akash. Thank you, Shani. Thank you, Jyotika. And I hope our small attempt to make a little bit more awareness happen. And we thank everyone for joining us today at Sipping Thoughts. Thank you, everyone. And with
Thank
that,
you, Sukirti, and thank you for bringing up this topic and making an initiative to start a conversation at this platform as well.
and
Yeah.
I think it's because we know you guys so well. So thank you once again for, opening our minds also.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.